start, I'm just gonna start off with some reminders. So just if you're always with our webinars, we always want to engage people sa Mentimeter. So we don't want kami lang yung nagsasalita. We want you to be part of the conversation. So it's nice if you have another device like a phone or a tablet. But if you don't, you can just go to another link. Or if that's difficult, don't let that be a barrier. You can share your response if you feel comfortable sa chat box. And then although everyone's on mute initially, you can type in your thoughts, your questions in the chat box, and we'll get back to you. And yeah, so keep those comments coming in the chat box. And this is really important. So the certificates moving forward, you will get certificates as usual after answering the post-evaluation. But the post-evaluation link, we're going to close it 30 minutes after the webinar. So you can make sure that right after the session, you already evaluate the webinar so that you get your certificate already, because we're going to close that evaluation 30 minutes after the webinar. So you can tell your friends na remind them na, okay, don't forget to answer, because 30 minutes after the webinar, we will no longer open the forms. And make sure you write your full name. We're just a really small team in Positive Workplaces, and we're getting a lot more participants in our webinars. So it would really help us a lot if you just write your full name from the beginning. Be very careful with that, because sometimes we're not able to respond to editing the certificate. So make sure you write your full name the way that you want it to be seen in the certificate, so that that will be a quick process. All right, and it's 3 o'clock. So welcome everyone. Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to introduce to you our special guest today is Ric Charles Cayat. You can call him Ric, you can call him Charles. He's studying his MA in Siholohiyang Pilipino in UP Diliman, and he is also the Vice Chairperson for Luzon for the Youth for Mental Health Coalition. And he's also a very special member of the Positive Workplaces team. So a lot of our content that we develop, we get Ric's insight on it as well. And he's able to help us with other things like creating our asynchronous course. So you could check those out. And now I'm going to turn it over to you, Ric.
Ayan, thank you Nikki for that introduction. Again, isa pong magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Sana po ay nasa maayos tayong kalagayan, no? At saka maginhawa po ang ating pagkakaupo. Dahil ang topic po natin for today is about understanding Filipino well-being or yung kaginhawaan. So, to start with, syempre gusto nating malaman, no, kung kumusta ba kayo, kung nasaan ba tayo, ganyan. Gusto namin malaman, no, kung sino-sino ba tayong nandito ngayon sa loob ng Zoom meeting na ito. So for just to listen, no, or hear your thoughts about your names, how you're feeling right now, ganyan, I'd like you to go to this link, to menti.com, and use this code 6890521, or you can scan the code that's now being shared sa screen. So again, go to menti.com, tapos use the code 6890521. Okay. Wait, wait.
And our team member Trina also put it in the chat box, so you can also just click that.
Ayan. So makikita natin na sa una, you will be asked kung kumusta ba kayo. So kumusta ka? Masaya ka ba at kontento ngayong hapon, no? Ngayong araw? O ano ba yung nararamdaman nyo since it's a Tuesday? Okay lang naman since Tuesday nga, ganyan. Yan, no? Meron din tayong nahihirapan pero lumalaban, which is a common experience na narinig natin, no? Na parang since we're in a pandemic, parang we're in a constant state of stress. Pero yun lang, nahihirapan tayo pero lumalaban. At yung iba naman sa atin, no, dinadaan na lang sa tawa. Kumbaga parang it's a very Filipino value na lahat na lang dinadaan sa tawa at sa tuwa. Wala rin naman masama kung medyo masama ang inyong loob, no? Kasi yun nga, we're in a different circumstance at iba-iba tayo ng pinagdadaanan. Kaya naman masaya tayong pakinggan, no? Kung kumusta ba kayo? Ano ba yung nararamdaman nyo ngayong hapong ito? Ayan, no? Makikita natin din, no? Na halos, yan, 23 sa atin, no? Ay nahihirapan pero lumalaban. Pero patuloy pa rin, no? Ang pag-attend natin sa mga webinar na kagaya nito na sana ay makatulong, no? So, salamat, no, sa mga taong nag-participate. I'll be moving forward to the next question, which is yan, a geography quiz. Taga saan po ba tayo ngayon? Saan po ba kayo galing, no? Hindi po yung kung saan kayo, kung nasaan kayo ngayon, kundi saan po ba kayo galing? So, nandiyan na yung isang mapa ng Pilipinas. Actually ako, medyo nahihirapan din ako i-pinpoint kung nasan ba ang Baguio, no? So just a disclaimer, no, I'm from Baguio City. My father's an Igorot and my mother is from Batangas. So that will also be like the focal point of the inspiration actually of my presentation for this afternoon. Ayan. So makikita natin, no, may halos concentrated tayo sa Luzon. Pero may mga representatives din tayo from Visayas. Like, nakita ko na may people from, ano to, katabi ng Bohol. Katabi ng Bohol is, Cebu. Cebu. Tsaka Negros Oriental. We also have people, no, from South Cotabato. Ayan. We also have people from Davao del Sur. Ayan. Welcome po sa ating lahat. Ayan, in 28 nga, gaya nga sabi ni Nikki kanina, no, na may mga guest tayo from Cavite na halos parang concentrated din yung ating audience from there. Ayan. Muli, maraming salamat po. So we move to the next question, no? So, what are you most proud of about your hometown? Ano naman po yung mga gusto nyo ipagyabang, no? Tungkol sa mga probinsya nyo, sa lugar na kinalakhan nyo, ano po ba yung mga magagandang bagay tungkol sa inyong yan, sa inyo pong mga lugar. Ayan, kultura daw. How about you, Nikki? Where are you from? Taga saan ka ba, Nikki?
Well, lumaki ako dito sa Manila na, pero my dad is from Pampanga. And what I'm really, parang hometown ko na rin yun kasi lagi kaming nandun. What I'm super proud about Pampanga is ang sarap-sarap talaga ng pagkain doon. So if you ever get a chance, please do eat kare-kare, sisig in Pampanga. Sobrang sarap. How about you, Rick?
I'm from Baguio, so dito na rin talaga ako lumaki. So ang pinagyayabang lang talaga namin dito is hindi kami masyadong pinagpapawisan kumpara sa mga ibang tao sa Pilipinas. So ayun, nakikita rin natin, no, dito, like, halos food din yung pride nila, no? Tapos may nagsasabi rin na people's hospitality, kasoy, oh my God, I love kasoy. And yummy food daw from Pampanga. So we also have people, no, from Pampanga with us today. Ayan, no? Palaban, ayan, palaban ng mga tao. Yes, it's part ng NCR Plus bubble. I know, at least you're proud of the NCR Plus bubble. So, Her Majesty Mayon Volcano. Ayan, hello po sa mga taga Bicol. Ayan. Palaban at masisipag na mga tao. So, go Cavite. So, ayan po, no, gusto kong ipaalala sa inyo yung mga bagay na maganda sa lugar nyo. Kasi yun yung magiging focus natin ngayong hapon. I-highlight natin, no, kung ano ba ang kaginhawaan para sa iba't ibang mga Pilipino, sa iba't ibang parte ng ating bansa. Ayan, no, may nagsasabi rin na wala. Well, that's okay din naman. It's very normal, no, na minsan may mga lugar din na walang masyadong highlight, kumbaga, or it brings you and it brought you a negative experience. Pero again, at the end of the day, we're all Filipinos, no? Parang pagtitingnan natin dito, may mga similarities and meron pa rin mga differences. Ayan. So maraming salamat po sa mga nag-share ng kanilang experiences at nga, yung mga pride and mga magagandang bagay mula sa kanilang probinsya. Ayan, so ngayong hapon po, ito po ang ating magiging talakayan, no? This will be our learning route, no? We'll be starting with the why question, of course. We will be looking at why well-being, no? Why is it important to look at well-being from a Filipino perspective? bakit nga ba ano ba itong Filipinong konteksto na ito or ano ba 'tong kaginhawaan na ito? Um, ang susunod naman 'no, titingnan natin kung ano bang ibig sabihin ng well-being para sa isang Pilipino. At lastly, how can we create 'no, a culture of well-being that is our own? Ayan, mamaya bibigyan namin kayo 'no, ng mga practical tips and suggestions 'no. We curated some of it that you can try 'no. So hopefully it will work out since this month is it's stress awareness month. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. So let's start with the why. Why is it important to look at well-being from a Filipino context? So in this trip now, we will be discussing about sino ba ang Pilipino? Who is the Filipino? So we will also be looking at how Filipinos are being devalued, no, or nababawasan yung pagiging Pilipino ng isang Pilipino. Ayan. At syempre, titingnan din natin no, ano ba yung mga threats sa kaginhawaan no, or ano yung pwedeng maging balakid no sa sa maginhawang buhay. So ngayon, I'd just like to share this piece of art with you, no? It's by Benazir Martinez, no? Na parang ang title ng piyesa na ito is that Filipino is not a race. So who is a Filipino? Sabi niya, Filipino is not a race where we are neither identified by our skin color, familial, cultural background, nor it is imprinted in our passports. Filipinos are those who believed and worked tirelessly in strengthening our democratic well-being. It is a cognitive decision, a matter of constantly calling oneself a Filipino. So ang highlight ko lang talaga dito, no, sino ba isang Pilipino? Ang Pilipino ay yung mga tao no, na nag-identify bilang Pilipino. At kung titingnan natin no, sa description ni Martinez, makikita natin no, yung binigyan niyang kahalagahan, no, yung democratic well-being, which will also be yung focus ng ating discussion na ngayong hapon. No? Ano ba yung democratic well-being na to? What does it mean no, to be a Filipino? So there we will start with the first reason. Why is it important to look at kaginhawa, perspective or well-being from a Filipino? The first reason is that the Filipinos or yung pagiging Pilipino natin no, medyo nababawasan no or hindi na napapahalagahan. So bakit nangyayari yung gantong bagay no? Number one, it came from a generational trauma no from colonization. So ibig sabihin, yung more than 500 years natin na being colonized, actually hindi pa tayo masyado nag-heal from it. Ibig sabihin, no, hindi pa natin siya talaga nadi-deal with, hindi pa natin siya pinag-uusapan. Yung mga negatibong impact or yung mga negative impact na nangyari ng colonization years natin, hindi pa rin natin siya na-address hanggang ngayon. Number two, there is an imposition of foreign epistemologies. Ibig sabihin, no, halos lahat ng napapag-aralan natin or yung knowledge na nakukuha natin ay galing sa Western, no? Or parang very imported yung knowledge na nakukuha natin. Like, for example, yung education system natin was based solely no dun sa American system of education na hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin natin siya na-address kung ano ba yung akma talaga para sa mga Pilipino no. Parang pinapakain tayo kumbaga or pinipilit sa atin na yung mga kanluranin or yung Western ideologies and epistemologies are far more superior than our knowledge. Kaya nga nagkakaroon tayo no, ng internalization of West supremacy or yung pagtingin natin no, sa mga European, sa mga American countries that they are far more superior than our knowledge no na hindi na natin nakikita no yung kagandahan ng sarili nating kultura, ng sarili nating kakayanan, ng sarili nating kaalaman. So halos lahat din no, ng parang focus natin, lalo na sa usapin ng well-being, are usually no, based on Western ideologies. Like for example, di ba yung sa mga when we talk about psychotherapy ganyan or yung mga treatments when it comes to different mental disorders, those are usually based no sa western theories, sa western approaches. Kaya minsan may issue no na hindi siya nagiging angkop na mas na-worsen actually yung situation kasi nga ang issue dito is hindi akma para sa atin no yung yung treatment na yun. Kaya yun, nade-devalue or hindi napapahalagahan, hindi nakikita, hindi na-highlight yung issues natin bilang isang Pilipino. Also, kaya yun, nagiging ano siya, nagiging threat sa ating well-being 'no, or sa kaginhawaan. Kasi nga hindi nakikita or hindi alam ng Western, ideologies na 'to, yung kung ano ba yung mahalaga 'no. Ayun, base sa isang pag-aaral 'no ni SISIP 'no, nung 1990s, nung 1998, 1992 ganyan. Kaya siya no date kasi madami siya, it's a series of studies. So, ang ginawa ko dito, inilist down ko na lang yung most valued notes during that time. And the sad thing about this one is that it's already in the 1990s, no? And hindi na siya masyadong na-update. Kaya yung studies on well-being, hindi siya masyadong explored. Kaya yung mga resources natin, actually, if you look sa internet, there are only 3 studies talking about kaginhawaan or well-being or the Filipino well-being. Isa nga ito dito. So nakikita natin no yung pinapahalagahan ng mga Pilipino no. Number one is yung respeto mula sa pamilya, respeto na nakukuha at naibibigay para sa pamilya. Pangalawa ay yung faith no kay God no or religion per se. At yung number 3 is yung pagiging Pilipino. Makikita natin to usually sa internet na kapag usually na nabanggit lang yung na ito Pilipino to. Yes, hashtag Filipino pride. So we are very proud no that we are Filipinos. However, we are lacking the knowledge and parang ano nga ba, paano ba natin sasabihin na Pilipino tayo? Ayan, kaya yung babalik tayo kanina do sa devaluation of being a Filipino. Itong mga bagay na ito, hindi ito masyado nakikita no sa western na pag-aaral or sa western na perspective ng well-being. Dito lang siya sa atin kumbaga. So there. So ngayon kung tatanungin ko ulit kayo, sino nga ba ang isang Pilipino? So para sa akin 'no, at saka para sa talakayang ito, ang Pilipino ay kumikilala ng kapwa at pinapakitaan ito ng kagandahang loob at may respeto siya para sa dangal 'no ng isang kapwa. So, yun. So yun yung magiging definition natin ng Filipino. So ano ano ba 'tong mga Filipino na ito? Ano ba 'tong dangal na ito? Ano ba itong kagandahang loob na ito? Ayan 'no, sabi nila Reyes 'no at nila Enriquez na may dalawang bagay na pinapahalagan ng Pilipino 'no. Ang una ay ang loob 'no at ang pangalawa ay ang kapwa. Yung dalawang bagay na ito, it actually 'no strengthens and preserves human relationships. Yung loob at yung kapwa or sa English ng loob, it's the will and yung kapwa naman wala siyang equivalent um na English translation. It's kapwa 'no. The will of the parang kumbaga in simpler terms, it's your will towards your kapwa. So yun daw yung pinapahalagahan natin bilang mga Pilipino. So ano ba ang loob 'no? 'Pag sinabi nating loob, ito yung core ng ating pagkatao or ito yung core of our personhood. Ito yung nagde-define kung sino tayo 'no? So and this loob is always a will that is directed towards something or towards other people. Doon daw natin nakikita ang loob ng isang tao. Kung paano niya pinapakitaan ang isang bagay 'no or ang isang tao. How they show their loob, parang it's through the acts, no? Or how they deal with other people. And these actions allow us, no, to understand the person fully. Kasi pag pinapakita niya kung paano pakisamahan, kung paano pakitunguhan ng isang tao, nakikita natin, no, yung kalooban niya. At siyempre, yung isa naman is yung kapwa, no? Ito daw yung core value natin bilang isang Pilipino, no? Ang ibig sabihin nito, we're together with the person, no? Or we share something. Our inner, parang, kumbaga, we are sharing ourselves with another person, and at the same time, they are also sharing their selves with us. Ganyan. So, ayan yung konsepto ng kapwa. No? Napakaganda niyang pakinggan. No? At kung iisipin natin, hindi na natin siya masyado ring napapahalagahan dahil na nga doon no, sa mga bayan or yung sa devaluation. No? Hindi na natin napapahalagahan yung pagiging Pilipino natin. Kaya naman gusto kong bumalik ulit kayo no, sa menti.com. At may isa na naman akong tanong. Ayan. So tingnan natin. Ano ba yung tanong ko dito? So, when do you say that you're feeling maginhawa? Kailan mo nasasabi 'no, na may maginhawang buhay ka, ganyan? Ano, may mga initial answers na tayo dito 'no. When I wake up in a good mood, ayan. Feeling daw niyan maginhawa na siya. 'Pag busog 'no, maginhawa na. And when I feel at peace. If I feel contented 'no, and yan din nakikita natin yung pumapasok na yung good relationships. Meron din nagsabi dito 'no, na kapag hindi nahihirapan. So meron din dito 'no, yung parang patungkol naman sa trabaho, which is like no work demands daw para sa kanya. Tapos makikita din natin dito 'no, na when aspects of life are comfortable. Ayan, may nagsabi din dito na kapag bagong ligo. Iba rin yung nagagawa ng ligo na it freshens you up. Sabi din dito 'no, kapag meron ka ng mga basic needs in life and stress-free. Tapos may when I enjoy what I am doing. Nothing to worry about. Tas makikita rin dito 'no, yung after praying to God. May nagsagot din 'no, when I'm with my dogs. Hindi lang din tao 'no, kundi pati yung, mga bagay or mga hayop na kino-consider natin siguro na nasa loob 'no, or pinapakitaan natin ng kapwa ganyan or kino-consider natin as kapwa. So maraming salamat 'no. Babalikan ulit natin yung mga sagot niyo. So just share 'no, your opinions or your experiences on how you experience or feel ginhawa. So there, ano nga ba yung sinasabi ko ng ginhawa? Kanina ko pa ako ginawa dito ng ginhawa 'no. Sabi ni Paz or para sa mga Pilipino, ang ibig sabihin daw ng ginhawa, literally or literal translation niya, is yung kakayanan natin 'no, na makahinga or it's our ability to be able to breathe. So kung nakakahinga daw tayo, that's actually already 'no, considered for some people na ginhawa or it actually already brings us relief. Um, pero 'no, nag-evolve na rin yung parang definition natin ng ginhawa. Minsan yung para sa ibang tao ang ginhawa ay isang magandang buhay. Parang very connected na rin siya 'no, sa paghinga ng matiwasay, paghinga, ng ano 'no, ng maayos ganyan kumbaga. It's very related to a magandang buhay. Parang para sa iba, connected ito 'no, sa pagiging, yung ginhawa daw naka-connect siya sa kagandahan ng ating buhay. Ayan. Pero sa pag-aaral din ng ginhawa, may mga related tayong concepts 'no. Nakita rin ni Paz dito 'no, na parang very related ang konsepto ng kapalaran, sa pag-experience natin ng ginhawa. And actually ang kapalaran 'no is in English, destiny or fate 'no. Um, Pag titingnan din natin 'no, ang tanong dito is, sino ba ang may control sa destiny or faith natin or sa fate natin 'no? Sinong may control? Sinong, ah, inside ba ito, external ba, yung nanay mo ba, yung sarili mo ba? So yun yung tinatanong ng kapalaran. Sino ang may control over your ginhawa kumbaga? At, para sa mga Pilipino 'no, we view fate 'no or destiny as something we can control. Like for example 'no, yung mga problema daw na kinakaharap natin, may mga control pa rin tayo dito. Like for example, yung mga aksidente, yung mga ganyan, yung mga hindi natin makontrol, yung swerte, ginagawa daw natin ito. We control this, we create this. So yun yung pinapaniwalaan ng mga Pilipino. At sabi nila, 'pag nawawalan daw tayo ng control over our daily lives, ang nangyayari daw sa atin is nakaka-experience tayo 'no ng dalamhati or this is what we call intense or deep emotions. Hindi lang siya related sa sorrow but rather when we lose control daw of our fate, of our destiny, we experience deep emotions, intense emotions. So puwedeng sobrang saya like for example, um, hindi ka masyadong nag-aral or parang parang, hindi ka kunwari masyadong nag-wo-work ganyan. pero bigla kang na-promote, ganyan, no? Siyempre, yun, wala yun sa control mo at hindi mo naman ine-expect, no, na mapopromote ka. So you also experience dalamhati in a positive way. You experience intense joy, kumbaga, in that situation. So, ayan. Ito yung parang framework daw nung how we experience ginhawa. When things are in our control, we experience ginhawa. So, upward siya. Um, if nawala sa control natin, we experience naman dalamhati. So that's how we can perceive, no, how others are experiencing ginhawa and dalamhati. So ang parang pagtitingnan natin as servants, no, yung taong ito ba ay may control over dun sa buhay niya o may ibang bagay o tao na kumokontrol sa kanyang buhay. And pwede natin yung tingnan, no, sa pakikisalamuha natin sa iba't ibang mga tao, ganyan. Titingnan natin, no, are they still in control of their daily lives, ganyan. May control ba sila sa mga decision nila? Tapos doon tayo pwedeng mag-insert, no, or mag-intersect na to offer some help. Ngayon, no, ang unang tanong natin is, why is it important to look at well-being from a Filipino context? And the answer is simply, who are we serving? Sino ba yung gusto nating paglingkuran, no? Siyempre, ito yung mga kapwa Pilipino natin. So, dapat ang titingnan natin, no, is yung konteksto nila, yung mga karanasan nila sa pang-araw-araw, no, para mas maintindihan natin sila, no, at para mas makapagbigay tayo ng mas akmang serbisyo, no, yung mas appropriate kasi nga um, nagma-match, no, yung service at saka yung needs na kailangan nila. Kaya naman ang ipo-propose ko talaga na framework natin for ginhawa, no, is a magandang buhay para rin sa iba. So it's not just for ourselves but also, no, for the people that we are serving, for our kapitbahay, for our workmates, ganyan. So dapat yung ginhawa is nakakahawa, ganyan. So ayan. Let's just have a short chika session, no? Na parang gusto kong itanong sa inyo so you can share your opinions sa chat, ganyan. You can also raise your hand, no, if you'd like to share a story, no, from your office, ganyan, or from your personal experience, no. How would you describe a service that is truly responsive of your client's needs? Or kailan ba kayo naka-experience ng parang serbisyo na talagang na-feel nyo na para sa inyo? Ayan. How about you, Nikki? So syempre tatanungin muna natin si Nikki, no? How would you describe, no, a service that is truly responsive of your client's needs?
Siguro if I can share from my time working in government nung nagtatrabaho sa DepEd na pag pag na, kasi DepEd nga noong nararamdaman ng ng mga ng mga learners o kaya ng mga teachers na may pag-asa sila kasi magandang edukasyon na natatanggap ng mga bata. So yun yung para sa akin. Pero meron din tayo sa chat box, sabi ni Ruel, kapag nakatulong ka sa taong nangangailangan. Ayan, magandang response pag nakakatulong. Ikaw, Rick.
Ayan, okay. So, ayan, no, sabi ko nga, medyo ang talagang pinaghuhugutan ko, no, is yung parang yung research ko about kaginhawaan, ganyan. Saka paano ba natin talaga, no, masasabi na is yung isang serbisyo ay akma para sa kultura ng isang tao. So, my research was about, no, defining mental illnesses in a province here in Cordilleras. So, parang ang nangyari doon sa research na yan is that parang kasi ang tanong sa amin dati, um, yung naaalala ko lang na parang sabi ng, is, parang I volunteered kasi for this organization. So parang may nagtanong sa amin, no, na parang, sa tingin nyo, ano ba yung parang pamamaraan ng Cordillera on how one deal with mental illness, no? And parang sabi ko, o nga, no, parang never pa natin na-explore on how we can appropriate our services. Parang nangyayari lang lagi is, this is our service. So do you like it or not? So never natin no, narinig sa mga service users or sa mga clients natin kung ano ba talaga yung kailangan nila. Ano ba sa tingin nila, kung ano yung mental illness, no? Ano ba yung mental illness para sa kanila? So yung pag-intindi sa experiences talaga nila at sa pag-unawa nila it can be of big relief, no, and big help for others. Ayan. Meron din tayo dito, no, parang stories ni Kay sa chat, um, from Beng na parang sabi niya, if there is an immediate action, no, ibig sabihin mabilisan yung pagresponde. Which is very parang akma ngayon sa panahon, no, na parang dapat very responsive talaga
Yeah.
sa mga pangangailangan na ating mga kababayan.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, ang daming nagsasabing responsive. Sabi ni Ben kapag immediate, si Minnie, yun din yung sinasabi, pati si Sharon na kapag nasagot mo um, yung tanong o yung pina-follow up nila. Kasi minsan nangyayari na sa sobrang dami, di ba minsan nafe-feel mo na, okay, feedback na lang ito for now. Pero hindi talaga natin natutugunan minsan yung mga kinakailangan. Pero yung sinasabi mo nga sa kapwa, na yung kapwa mo mismong nasa harap mo, they're suffering right now. So kapag may immediate action and you're able to alleviate them from that suffering, parang yun talaga yung genuine service na nararamdaman ng mga tao kapag kaagad. Yun yung nakikita ko sa chat.
okay. So, ayan na siguro gagabayan ko na lang din sila ngayong hapon, no, kung paano ba hindi lang mas mapapabilis, kung hindi, no, yung mas mauunawaan din natin uh, from a kapwa perspective, no, yung mga serbisyo na pwede nilang i-offer. So yun, no, if nagawa mo yung demands or needs, yeah. Parang very same nga yung parang theme na nakikita natin sa chat. So maraming salamat po sa mga taong nag-share ng kanilang experience at saka mga stories, no, about this question. Ayan. So moving forward, no, titingnan naman natin ngayon kung ano ba talaga yung experience or yung meaning, no, ng kaginhawaan para sa isang Pilipino. Ngayong hapon po ay mag-field trip tayo, no, sa iba't ibang parte ng ating bansa. Kikilalanin natin, no, yung mga kapwa Pilipino pa natin um, sa portion na ito. Ayan. So titingnan natin na experiences nila, no, na-experience daw nila yung kaginhawaan pag nakakakonekta sila sa spiritual na mundo or sa spiritual world, pag may maayos silang social interactions, pag feeling nila they are one with the environment, no, and if they are able to fulfill their aspirations. Also very common din, no, yung pag-respond sa basic needs, ganyan. If they have their material things, no, that's kaginhawaan for them. So let's go to no, okay na to. So let's go to Palawan first. Ayan. So sa Palawan, no, o yung mga tao sa Palawan, para sa kanila, ang kaginhawaan daw ay yung kakayanan nila, no, na makakain. So if they are able to eat, they actually are able to experience kaginhawaan, no. So very material yung pagtingin nila sa kaginhawaan. And it's actually as simple as being able to eat. When we go naman to the look at the experience of the people who identify, no, as Badjao, receiving advanced education for them, it's actually an experience, no, or a fulfillment of kaginhawaan. So receiving advanced education like yung college degree, siguro pagtatapos ng high school, senior high school, no, that's already a fulfillment of their kaginhawaan, or parang na-fulfill na nila, no, na parang matatawag na nila na may maganda silang buhay dahil lang sa edukasyon na receive nila. Pag titingnan naman natin, no, yung mga tao who identify as Subanen, as simple as eating rice, no. The people of Subanen are actually parang potato farmers, ganyan. So parang for them, pag may rice or may kanin, no, sa pagkainan nila, parang sobrang yaman na nila, kumbaga, na parang nakakaluwag na sila sa buhay nila. So, ang usual dinner kasi nila is yung patatas, ganyan, mga gulay, ganyan. So, big deal talaga sa kanila, no, yung pagkain ng kanin. At pag titingnan nila yung mga tao, no, na who identify as tausug, no, having a wooden or bamboo house is already a big deal, no. Kasi usually yung mga bahay ng mga tausug, no, they usually yung parang mga pinagtagpi-tagpi lang na dahon, ganyan. So yung pagkakaroon nila ng bahay na gawa sa kawayan, na gawa sa kahoy, it actually fulfills already, no? Or they actually already feel the ginhawa. So ito naman, titingnan naman natin 'no, yung mga experience ng Filipino from, paano ba natin 'no, nafi-feel yung ginhawa, when we connect with the spiritual world, or a higher parang mga yung mundo na hindi natin nakikita, ganyan, pero pinapaniwalaan natin meron. So sa mga Ilocano 'no, yung pagsabi ng bari-bari apo, they actually feel kind of relief 'no, parang as people as a person din who uses bari-bari frequently. Na for example, if I visit an unknown place, I usually say bari-bari apo just to respect 'no, the people who cultivated the land. Parang for me, that's why I say it. And I actually, a relief 'no, parang or ginhawa na parang I'm very confident na to traverse around the woods, ganyan, maglakad-lakad, ganyan. Kasi I already pay my respect dun sa mga tao na nag-cultivate or sa mga kung ano man yung hindi natin nakikita sa pag-cultivate 'no, ng land na iyon. So sa mga Tagalog naman 'di ba, meron tayong sinasabi na tabi-tabi po, ganyan, or ayan, paraan-paraan po loleng, ayan. So, usually 'no, it's also a way to say na nandito tayo. It's also a reminder or parang a greeting for our neighbors 'no, na tabi-tabi po na kahit na hindi naman para sa kanya, parang sinasabi mo lang na paraan po, ganyan. So, it actually brings people relief 'no, kasi they are more confident, na parang nakapagbigay sila ng respeto, ayan. So ito naman 'no, yung mga experience ng Pilipino 'no, sa pag-connect sa environment or sa nature 'no, para sa mga Bagobo parang ang sign nila to harvest already 'no, yung parang rice nila or to start is 'pag nagkikita na yung new moon. So 'pag new moon na ibig sabihin it's already time for a fruitful harvest 'no. Parang it's already a signal from the environment na you're good to go and that actually brings them relief 'no, yung connection nila, sa environment nila. So, yun naman yung ating short lang na field trip 'no, at pagbisita at pagtingin sa mga experience 'no, ng mga Pilipino patungkol sa ginhawa. So, titingnan naman natin ngayon 'no. So, yan nga, kanina 'no, nakita natin yung responses niyo nung tinanong ko kayo. How can you say 'no, that, that you are feeling ginhawa or may maganda kayong buhay or nakaka-experience kayo ng ginhawa? So, actually, yung researches, it also points out to three main factors or three main things, no? Na parang if we are able to fulfill our physical needs, our social needs, and we are able to connect to our environment, that's how we feel. That's as Filipinos, that's how we feel ginhawa. So ayan no, pag physical, no, nakita natin yung malusog, busog, ayan 'no, kapag walang problema, physically, mentally, being healthy 'no, having a restful sleep, it's also a way to feel ginhawa. 'Pag may pera 'no, kasi minsan yung lalo na ngayon 'no, it's a way to also buy goods, to fulfill our basic needs. Netflix and chill is also a way 'no, parang it's also a physical stimulation kumbaga. It also parang yung relaxation, is very connected 'no, dun sa physical aspect ng ating ginhawa. When we talk about social naman 'no, having these social interactions, healthy interactions with your kapwa, ganyan. 'Pag kilala mo yung kapitbahay mo at saka napapagkatiwalaan mo sila 'no, or parang they're also a source of ginhawa. Lalo na ngayong pandemya 'no, kahit na may physical distancing, yung mangitian mo yung kapitbahay mo or makapag-hello, good morning ka sa mga taong nagjo-jogging around your place, that actually brings a sense of relief for other people. Kaya 'pag titingnan natin 'no, social halos yung pinakamadami siguro, yung pinaka-central talaga na aspect ng ginhawa 'pag titingnan natin. So these answers were based 'no, again sa menti.com. Tas, thank you Trina, Kurt, and Chloe, and Nikki for sorting this out for everyone. Ayan 'no, 'pag nakita natin yung social 'no, aspect ng ginhawa, caring towards one another is a way to actually bring ginhawa, no? Or being of service to others. Bayanihan is also a way of having or being connected or feeling ginhawa. Yung nafe-feel mo na parang you're working towards a problem tapos everyone works towards completing it, ganyan. Being respectful, ayan. Yung pagiging malaya, ayan, no? Very, very malalim din no, yung pinanghuhugutan ng malaya. No? Kailan ba natin no, nararamdaman na malaya? makikita lang natin 'no, yung masayang pamilya. Sabi nga ng iba na parang very central yung kaginhawaan when it comes um, feeling ginhawa, ayan. Si Sir Wilfredo, may gusto po ba kayong i-share, sir? Sige, baka napindot niya lang yung raise hand. So ayan 'no, staying away from toxic people is also a way 'no, to feel ginhawa, ayan. Being able to provide for the family is also a central aspect daw of ginhawa. Kap Ayan, pagdadasal 'no, having this relationship with a higher being 'no, also brings you ginhawa. 'Pag tignan natin yung environment 'no, how can we describe 'no, an environment that actually brings kaginhawaan? If it's clean, if it's peaceful, crime-free, ayan 'no, no work demands, peace in my personal space siguro ito 'no, kapag nakakauwi sa bahay galing sa work 'no, ayan 'no, yung mga simpleng actions actually na 'to 'no, 'pag naririnig natin sila 'no, 'pag iniisip natin, ay oo nga 'no, minsan 'pag pagod na pagod ako galing sa trabaho, ta's 'pag nakauwi ako, it actually brings me a sense of comfort. Ta's minsan nakakalimutan na natin 'no, yung mga ganitong maliliit na bagay 'no, na hindi natin napapasalamat. Ayan, ayan. Muli 'no, maraming salamat po sa pag-share niyo ng kung ano ba yung experience niyo sa pagginhawaan or paano niyo masasabi na isa kayong may maginhawa kayong pakiramdam. Gaya nga ng sabi ko 'no, ang central aspect talaga ng kaginhawaan para sa mga Pilipino ay yung social interactions. Kaya naman 'no, yung marriage 'no, o yung pagpapakasal is a very central aspect, of kaginhawaan 'no, na even if I'm not pro-marriage, I get it, like, I understand it na some Filipinos talaga parang they value marriage. Having this relationship with another is a central aspect of kaginhawaan. Kasi yun nga, sabi nga yung kapwa, 'di ba? It's sharing yourself to another, ayan 'no, napaka-sweet 'no. Pero hindi lang po siya tungkol talaga sa marriage, it's also sharing yourself to other people like your family, your trusted set of friends, your dogs, ganyan, your plants, ganyan, no? So those are no central to the Filipino well-being. And yun nga, yung sabi rin kanina, no, bayanihan, no? Na hindi na lang naman siya nakikita ngayon sa pagbubuhat ng bahay kubo. Marami na rin tayo nakikita no, na paraan kung saan natin nakikita or nawi-witness yung bayanihan. Ayan. So yun po yung mga karanasan 'no, ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino pagdating 'no, sa kaginhawaan. So, I hope may mga na-pick up tayo na mumunting mga kwento 'no, mula sa iba't ibang parte ng bansa na sana ay napaisip tayo ganyan 'no, at we need to look back din siguro, of how we define kaginhawaan. These experiences, no, since you are from Visayas, some of you from Mindanao, from Luzon, sana you get the chance, no, to pick, parang nagkaroon kayo ng idea on how different people from your places actually define ginhawa. And if you're parang if you serve them, sana you remember this time, no, na parang these people only needs this one, ganyan, na hindi naman siya talagang grand na parang needs, but rather parang comparing it to another, no, for example, like my need is parang to graduate something ganyan. Pero para sa iba no, yung makakuha lang sila ng kanin no, it's already a big deal for them. So kailangan talaga natin makinig no, at tingnan pa yung mga experiences ng bawat isa. Kasi bawat Pilipino naman, although yun nga, sabi ko nga may differences, may mga pagkakatulad din. So there. Moving forward, I want you again to go to menti.com and use, ayun na, may tanong lang ulit tayo dito about ginhawa, which is about, no, in 3 words, can you describe a community, no, that is maginhawa? So paano nyo nasasabi na may maginhawa kayong komunidad? Paano nyo masasabi na maginhawa or may magandang buhay yung mga tao sa komunidad nyo? Ayan, no. Yung pinakamalaking word talaga nakikita ko dito is yung pagiging masaya, no. May mga masasayang tao sa loob ng komunidad. Payapa din no, or peaceful is a very parang word na sobrang lumilitaw. Ayan, no. So may nagsabi rin dito, no, caring towards one another is also a way on how we can say, no, that that community is maginhawa. Ayan, kabutihan, masayahin, good relationships, respect for the earth, ganyan. Bayanihan, no, equality is also a criteria. Nagtutulungan, no, may pagkain, may malulusog na tao siguro. Um, may fairness daw sa loob ng community. So, these are the things, no, that we look for a community that is really maginhawa. Ayan. So there, may ngiti daw, busy sa work, ayan. Ibig sabihin siguro parang nafu-fulfill, no, yung task ng everyday. Like for example, siguro sa community nyo, may naka-assign as farmers, may naka-assign as ganito, ganyan. So siguro that's also a way, no. Or parang, for example, si barangay captain na fulfill niya yung task niya everyday, ganyan. Siguro ganun siya. Nakakatawa kayo sa loob ng komunidad. That's also a maginhawang community that is maginhawa. Ayan, meron ding growth, no, at may harmony. So, ayan, no, muli salamat sa pag-share ng inyong opinion, no, about this one. Okay. So next, we will now move forward, no, to how, no, paano ba tayo magke-create, no, or how can we work towards a culture of well-being, no, na masasabi natin sa atin na hindi siya hiniram sa ibang bansa, no, na parang paano natin marerespondihan, no, yung experiences ng mga Pilipino, um, yung serbisyo na akma para sa kanila, no, na magbibigay sa kanila ng kaginhawaan, no, na hindi lang siya dapat mabilis kundi akma rin para sa bawat isa. So yung first suggestion ko, no, or ni-decide din, it's actually humanization through kapwa. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no, na you see the people that you serve as equal beings, no, not lesser than, not higher than, but actually equal, no. You should also be aware of their own histories. Ibig sabihin, biktima rin sila, no, ng colonization. Biktima rin sila ng parang Western thinking na mas angat sila kum ah, para, kumpara sa atin. Kaya minsan parang yung mga taong nanghihingi ng serbisyo natin, minsan may hiya, 'no? Kasi nga feeling nila masyado na tayong na-westernized, 'no? Or masyado na tayong na-modernize na hindi na nila alam na may disconnect na kumbaga when it comes to asking for help. Kasi magaling na 'yan, edukado na 'yan, ganyan. Baka hindi na natin mahingian ng tulong. So dapat tingnan natin, 'no, kung paano tayo makikipag-connect pa sa mga taong yung may ganitong pag-iisip, 'no. Since ayun nga, biktima sila ng colonization din, 'no. They also have their own histories, they have their own life experiences, na kailangan natin pakinggan. So ang pinupunto lang dito, 'no, is, alamin natin, 'no, kung ano ba yung experiences nila. Kaya nga dinefine parang pinakita ko sa inyo kanina, 'no, ano ba yung mga kwento ng bawat Pilipino ang pagdating sa pag-explain or pag-experience ng ginhawa. And by actually doing this, nalalaman natin, no, kung paano ba tayo mas makakapagbigay pa ng tamang serbisyo. Like, kung alam natin kung ano para sa kanila, ano ba ang isang magandang buhay or paano ba sila mas makakahinga ng mas maluwag, we can actually provide a better service for them. So yun, that's humanization through kapwa. Then next, no, this is another reminder naman for us who are serving, no, or who likes to serve our fellow Filipinos, our fellow kapwa, no, na parang we should see ourselves as eggs daw. Parang sinasabi dito ni Bolataw, no, na ang pagtingin natin sa sarili natin at saka pag-interact natin sa kapwa natin, pwede nating ihalin tulad or i-compare sa mga itlog, ayan. Ito, dito na pagtitingnan natin yung hard-boiled eggs, this is the Filipino who is devalued, or parang may devaluation of the Filipino. Masyado na siyang nag-ascribe sa individualist principles, or masyado siyang na-impluwensyahan ng Western ideologies, no, na parang the best way to succeed in life is to be an individual, or parang it's just me, myself, and I. Ang care ko lang dapat is para sa sarili. So that's the hard-boiled egg. So may disregard na, no, or parang wala nang pake sa kapwa niya. So that's an individualized or a devalued Filipino. Pag titingnan natin dito, no, yung sunny side up eggs, ay yung scrambled eggs muna tayo. Si scrambled eggs, ang nakikita natin sa kanya, no, hindi na natin masyado nakikita kung nasaan yung puti at saka nasaan yung dilaw ng yung gitna at yung puti ng itlog. So, hindi na natin ma-pinpoint, no, kung ilang egg yolks ba yung nandito sa scrambled eggs. Ang ibig sabihin nito, masyado tayong naging involved, no, sa mga taong pinagsisilbihan natin or masyado tayong naging involved sa kapwa natin to the point of hindi na nakakalimutan na natin kung sino tayo or nakakalimutan na natin yung pagtingin natin sa sarili natin. Kaya naman ang pinopropose talaga dito ni Bulataw, no, is to become sunny side up egg. Ibig sabihin nito na parang you are able to share your egg whites, ganyan. Na as public servants din, no, as yung mga taong gusto magsilbi, dapat ang i-share lang natin yung egg whites natin. Hindi yung buong-buong sarili, yung buong sarili natin. Dapat nakikita pa rin natin yung in, yung individual personality natin, yung individual skills natin, no? Pero pag nako-confuse na tayo, kung sino ba tayo, no? Baka nagiging scrambled eggs na tayo, ayan, no? So parang dapat babalik tayo, no, na parang we're just a bunch of or parang dikit-dikit na sunny side up egg. So parang yun yung pinopropose ni Bulataw na you're still able to share something pero you still keep intact, no? Parang intact pa rin yung pagkakakilala mo sa sarili mo. So ganon, yung parang proposal ni Bulataw, no? Don't forget about yourself when you're dealing with your kapwa. And lastly, no, ang ipopropose ko rin, no, which I really like, no, parang this is like one of the methods that na parang, ay, ang ganda naman nito, no? It's yung pagiging diwata. Ito yung sobrang maka-Pilipino na napag-resolve, no, or pagresponde or pag-aakma, no, sa kaginhawaan natin, no. Sinasabi dito ni Design, no, na ang pagiging diwata is yung pagbalik, no, natin, yung pagbalik ng sarili natin or pagkilala sa sarili natin bilang isang spiritual being. Or ibig sabihin nito na we are beings that are powerful and we are connected to different realms, no? And we have this power to actually visit these different realms. So ano ba yung sinasabi kong realms dito, no? It's more of the social, yung physical realm, yung environmental, no? Once we consider, no, and harvest that power within us, once we realize, no, na we're just not individuals, but we are spiritual beings that is connected to the earth, to other fairies, ganyan, sa ibang diwata din, no? If we see other people as also powerful beings, that's how we become diwata, no? That's how we find the diwa, no, or the sense of self, kumbaga. So now let's just have another chika session na looking back, no, what cultural practice actually brought you kaginhawaan? So anong mga practice sa community nyo or yung kung may naaalala kayo, no, na actually hindi nyo ma-explain kung bakit, but it actually brought you some kind of relief, some kind of kaginhawaan. Ayan. So while waiting, syempre, tatanungin ulit muna natin si Nikki. So Nikki, how about you?
Alam mo yung sobrang nami-miss ko ngayon, Rick, yung bukid nun. Doon ko talagang naramdaman yung kultura ng Pilipino nung tumira ako sa bukid nun ng 1 year. Tapos medyo talagang gipit, like nagtitipid talaga kami. Pero feeling ko talaga na walang magugutom o wala talagang mahirap kasi lahat ng tao handang tumulong sa isa't isa. So nung mga times na wala kaming pagkain, maraming very open na, oh, pag gutom ka, kumain ka lang dito. Parang hindi ko yun maranasan sa Manila. Mas naranasan ko yun sa Bukidnon, sa probinsya. So parang yun talaga yung practice na hindi ka pababayaan ng mga tao, hindi ka pababayaan ng community mo. And yun ang nagdulot sa akin ng kaginhawaan.
Okay, thank you, Nikki, no? That's also an interesting story, no? Okay, anong year yan?
2012, tumira ako sa
Oh,
Bukidnon ng isang
okay.
taon.
So yun na makikita natin na even in modern times and hopefully sana napapractice pa rin siya sa Bukidnon. So
Yeah,
siguro
I think
related
so.
related ba siya sa parang mga fiesta, ganyan? Na parang you just visit to eat, ganyan?
Ginagawa ko din yun. Na parang, hello, hindi mo ako kilala pero pinapakain mo ako. So maraming ganun. Pero hindi kailangan piyesta eh. Anytime that you need it, anytime na kulang yung nasa inyo, may mag-share sa inyo. So ganun din sa amin. Like for instance, pag marami yung kunwari yung umuulan, maraming mushrooms na tumubo. Parang sinishare din namin sa ibang mga tao. Tapos kung marami din yung ani ng ibang mga tao, kaya may nag-party, may nag-birthday, nagkakaroon din kami ng pagkain. So yung sharing talaga, sobrang rich ng experience ko noon sa bukid noon.
Oh, and that's also nice no, na parang that sharing actually parang sparked another chain of sharing yung sa pag-share ng mushrooms.
Yeah. Ang dami
Yun yung
actually
mga
nagsabi
responses
dito na
dito.
si Johnny, for instance, damayan sa panahon ng kalamidad. And I think may share ka doon mamaya, Rick. Ito rin, parang si Anne, nakarelate din, sharing ng food sa kapitbahay kahit walang okasyon. Parang sobrang share, ang daming practices dito sa chat box na sharing at food related.
And yun daw sa kila Hamilton naman sa Quezon Province, no, ang tawag daw is atag. Sana tama yung pagka-pronounce ko. Atag, no, which means doing a service to others without expecting anything in return. Ayan. That's very nice. No? Diyan natin ipapasok din yung konsepto talaga ng loob na parang nakikita natin yung kagandahang loob ng ibang tao sa mga acts na pinapakita nila sa ibang tao. So, meron din dito si Pevi. And no, ito naman very personal, no, parang sa families daw niya, yung pag-assist sa kanya no, sa pagbibigay ng study needs, like providing notebooks, pen, mga ganyan para makapag-aral, also pabaon for food. Ano yung parang very simple things, no, Nikki, that actually feelings of relief um, would actually be very helpful. Okay. So ayun no, maraming salamat po sa mga nag-share ng kanilang kwento at sa mga experiences patungkol na kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa mga kani-kanilang lugar no. Para ma-experience nyo yung ginhawa. Ayan. So moving forward, ito na po yung parang base naman sa mga experience ko, sa research ko, and sa mga opinion, sa experience din ng mga tao sa loob ng positive workplaces. So, yung pagiging diwata can actually be fulfilled and be experienced in 3 different instances nga. Sabi ko nga, no? Physical, social, tsaka environment. So first one, let's look at parang ano ba yung pagiging diwata practices na nakikita natin para ma-fulfill no yung ating kaginhawaan. So sa the body and mind no, pag makita nyo, yung diwatang ito ang pangalan niya is Lalahon. Ayan. Siya yung diwata ng pag-aani sa isla ng Negros no. So sinasamba siya ng mga tao dati sa Isla ng Negros para makapag-provide no ng pagkain. So very central din talaga sa kaginhawaan natin is yung pag-fulfill natin ng physical needs natin. So dito kapag sa pag-practice natin ng pagiging diwata, ang dapat daw nating simulan no is yung pag-deny natin of individualism. So dapat malaman natin no na parang yung pag-iisip natin na mag-isa lang tayo or dapat ako lang ang kailangan ko para makapag-succeed, it can actually bring you a sense of parang malilito kayo actually, no? When you deny individualism, it actually brings you a gap daw sa brain nyo. And the way to actually fulfill this or fill the gap no na pag dinenay yung individualism is by actually hearing folk stories no from your place, hearing stories from your elders, hearing stories from your family, no, kasi it fills in the gap no yung nung individualism na nagstay ng matagal sa utak natin. So kaya nga meron dito yung highlight number 3, which is the appreciation of the arts. Kaya yung mga kwentong bayan natin no, pwede natin siyang balikan to actually revive our sense of culture, our sense of collectivism no. So pagtatanungin ba natin bakit ba nanghihingi yung mga yung mga tao sa isla ng Negros dati sa Diwata no, kasi wala na silang mapagkuhanan. And the only way is to praise no or sambahin itong diwata na ito kahit na hindi naman nila nakikita or pwede nakikita nila. So, ayan, babalikan lang natin no, yung mga kwentong bayan natin para lang to fill in, no, para in a way, it actually breaks down that individualist thinking. Tapos, pwede rin natin pakinggan no, yung mga kwento na nangyari sa ating lugar. Like for example, yung stories natin na, yun nga, yung mga kapitbahay natin, nagsishare ng pagkain, no? That's a very collectivist culture, no? It's a way to also deny yung mga individualist practices, yung pagiging kapitalista, ganyan. Um, So ayan na. At ang pangalawa 'no, as government as public servants, we actually need to give meaning to an individual's personal experience. Hindi natin siya puwedeng ikahon, ito concern 'to ng gan'to, concern 'to ng gan'to. We actually need to really listen 'no, at saka alamin kung ano ba yung underlying causes nito, na parang ang well-being ba para sa kanila is the same with my understanding of well-being. So that's how we actually get to understand more of the Filipino well-being by actually identifying kung ano ba talaga yung meaning ng well-being para sa atin. Hindi nang dahil sinabi ng dictionary or nang dahil na sinabi ng Western ideology. And also, no, another thing is afternoon naps. Pero gusto ko talaga i-suggest. Like for example kasi, di ba yung siesta na tinatawag, no, was actually coined by Spaniards, no? Tapos, kaya tayo nabansagan or nabigyan na parang label na tamad daw tayo. But actually, these afternoon naps were necessary to actually refill the energy of the farmers. So bakit ba nagnanap yung mga farmers dati? Kasi mainit naman na, alam magbilad pa sila sa araw, no? And they've already started working from 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. pa nga yung iba. Tapos parang yung afternoon nap lang na 1 hour or 15 minutes para sa atin, no? It can actually give us a sense of relief, no? And it's also parang a counter parang counter siya na sa mga practices na very draining for others, no, na parang ang batayan daw ng isang pagiging magandang trabahador ganyan or being a good employee is being a hard worker, no, pero nakakalimutan natin yung pagiging healthy hard worker. So dapat meron din tayong appreciation sa rest, no. Yun yung pag-counter natin, no, sa mga individualist way of thinking. uh, Another thing is uh, social relationships. Now, we look naman at the story of this diwata named Daungan. So, Daungan is a Bathaluman from Ifugao. So, parang ang nangyari sa kanya is siya yung nakipag-socialize, no, sa mga tao to provide them actually food, ganyan. Uh, so, this one, the first pagiging diwata practice that I can suggest is maki-advise yung mga isyong or ibig sabihin, no, from my research, ganyan, na parang offering community prayers can actually help, no, strengthen the social relationships. Parang sinasabi niya dito na parang kasi we have this tradition which we call kanyaw. And and ako dati, no, personally, akala ko yung kanyaw is parang a way lang to get what or yung food. Ganyan. Pero nami-misinterpret na siya lately na parang it's supposed to be a gathering, no, where you ask for prayers from the community. And that's actually a way to boost someone's kaginhawaan. And also, no, parang being kind lang to another person can actually bring kaginhawaan to others. Parang yun lang yung pinopoint out niya dito. And yung chain prayers, this was actually a practice from our school, nung high school, na parang siguro dun siya binase, no, sa kanya yung asking for community for prayers from your community. Like ang pwede niyong gawin, like for example, if you're a team, ang gagawin niyo is you pray together, pero walang ano tawag dito, wala kayong pinag-o-offeran ng prayer. It's just kasi nga para ma-include na yung different religions ganyan and different denominations. It's just praying to someone, no, of kung sino man yung pinapaniwalaan nyo. Tapos dito sa chain prayers na to, you just let out, no, or say your prayers loudly for everyone. So for example, magsa-start sa akin ganyan, tapos papasa kay Nikki ganyan, pasa kay Trina ganyan. So iikot, so it's a chain prayer. So hearing these prayers from other people as well, no, strengthen your kaginhawaan. Next, no, yung parang very strong observation that we can see now sa social media is yung pagkakaroon natin ng community pantries, no. It's again, no, to the individualist thinking, no? Parang ano rin siya, counter siya, no, sa yung individualist way of thinking na hindi puwedeng ikaw lang yung komportable, dapat yung kapwa mo rin, komportable sa buhay. Parang yung sinasabi ni Community Pantry, na if walang parang ire-relate natin siya sa kapalaran. If hindi natin makontrol, no, or if wala sa control natin yung pagbibigay ng pagkain, di tayo yung gagawa, no, ng parang source ng pagkain. So we are taking action, no, or we are taking back, no, our control from an unknown source of distress, kumbaga. So, yan, yung pagiging diwata natin can be seen even in modern times in this, kahit yung mga simpleng gantong actions, it's actually a pagiging diwata practice. Next naman is yung chikahan, no? Chikahan has always been, parang nagkaroon siya ng very negative connotation kasi it's used against others. Now, parang yun nga, yung sinasabi ko dito na parang we should not work against culture, but rather we should make culture our ally. Ano ba yung pwede natin makuha from chikahan, no? Kasi yung sa chikahan naman, it actually increases, no, interpersonal relationships. Kasi nalalaman natin kung ano ba, kumusta kaya ito, ganyan. So ano ba yung kwento niya, no? So having that structure, no, parang kung makikipag-engage ka ng chikahan sa isang tao, dapat iisa lang yun, or dapat parang defined yung topic nyo para hindi kayo napupunta sa ibang bagay, sa ibang tao, ganyan. So must focus, kumbaga, at scheduled yung chikahan. So dapat after work lang siya, ganyan. So having this schedule din, structure actually strengthens, no? Parang yung pagiging diwata, no? Na parang we regain our power as Filipino. Na parang we feed off the energy of others, no? And that makes us feel more connected to that person. And lastly, yung the environment, no? This is very linked, no, dun sa uh, pagiging diwata. It's actually gaining your power from when you feel connected, no? When your body, your mind, and spirit is fully immersed sa environment. Like for example, no, one of our interns then, parang si Gio, na who shared his experience about how he feels kaginhawaan. It's actually rising and setting with the sun. So pag tumaas na daw yung araw, ibig sabihin it's also a sign from him to actually also wake up. Ganyan, no? And when the sun sets, ibig sabihin that's a signal for him to actually already rest. So nakasync yung araw niya. Depende sa nakikita sa environment. And that actually makes him feel more connected sa environment. And which allows him, no, to also fully immerse din yung mind, body, and spirit niya kasi nga aligned siya. Ibig sabihin, iisa yung parang nagagalawan niya. Also, Chloe shared another experience of hers na parang when she, pag nagda-dive daw siya, no, she can feel her powers, no, parang napapabagal niya yung oras. And that's how a pagiging diwata is, no, na parang feeling mo may control ka over other things, no, na may control ka, no. So yun nga, napapabagal niya kumbaga yung oras niya when she is underwater. And lastly naman is yung crafting things na that you get from the environment, no. Pag may nakita yung kalat, ganyan. This one naman is from me na parang I feel more connected sa environment kasi I am able to craft different things, no, out of trash, ganyan, or out of parang tree branches, ganyan. And it actually makes me feel more connected kasi I'm able to use my skills, abilities, ganyan, and creative things, ganyan, to craft something. So, ito naman si Halia, no, yung diwata ng buwan, no. So, siya yung pinagmulan ng parang tradition ng Tagulaylay. So, it's a tradition, parang it's a dance, a music, ganyan, na parang pagtawag kay Bakunawa. Si Bakunawa yung kumakain ng buwan, no. Na parang pinapatugtog siya or ginagawa siya para daw i-release ni Bakunawa yung ibang buwan. Ano? So, nakikita niyo yung connection natin sa environment. It's actually very powerful, no. Maniwala man tayo or hindi, there are actually explanations, no, that can actually only be understood by these people. Yun din, no. So that's how we become, doon tayo nagiging diwata. Kumbaga, when we feel more powerful, ganyan, when we unlock our spiritual power, ganyan, yung mga powers na hindi natin na-explain, pero it happens. So that's pagiging diwata. Now, to end this session, no, I'd like you to go again to menti.com. Tapos ask, I'd just like to know, no, um, anong mga pagiging diwata practices yung gusto nyong i-practice, no, or that is very related to your culture.
Alam mo, na-realize ko, Rick, yung dumami yung plantita at saka plantito is a very pagiging diwata way of coping with the
Yeah.
pandemic na hindi ka makalabas sa public parks o kaya sa mga puno dyan. Kaya dadalhin mo sila sa bahay mo.
Oh, and it's very weird, no, na parang minsan, parang medyo sa Pilipinas lang siya nangyari, na parang sobrang big deal niya, no, na parang yung kahit na sobrang mahal na halaman, gusto mo siyang bilhin just for the sake na kasi maganda siyang tingnan. Ayan, no. Yeah, meditation. Meditation actually came from, I guess, like also Eastern countries. Like, yun din yung practice na ginagawa ko, like being mindful while walking, no? Na hindi ka lang basta-basta naglalakad. You're actually noticing the trees, ganyan. Yung amoy ng lupa, yung amoy ng puno, ganyan. That's how you can connect, actually unlock your diwata. Ayan. Speaking with nature, oo nga, that's also related doon sa mga plantito at plantita. Minsan nagugulat ako kunwari sa Facebook, like when I browse videos, yung ibang mga nanay natin, no, kinakausap nila yung mga halaman nila. Ayan, feeling the air. Totoo na minsan may lasa yung ano, yung hangin. Na-experience nyo naman or baka ako lang pala yun. Do more rescue by direct from farmers. True. This parang ito rin, no, parang protesta siya against individualism na hindi tayo bumibili sa malalaking kumpanya, ganyan, na mas diretso, no, o para mas natutulungan natin sila at saka hindi natin sila ginigipit, hindi natin sila, hindi maliit yung binabayad natin sa kanila, kumbaga. Exercise din. It's a way to become a diwata, no? Yung parang movement, ganyan. So, parang suggestion din dito, no? If you'd like to practice daw, parang look at traditional dances as a way of parang poses, ganyan. It can also unlock your pagiging diwata. Ayan, gratitude list before the day ends. Yes, this parang mas naging connected kasi kayo sa sarili nyo, no? Parang na-unlock nyo yung potential nyo as people once na alam nyo yung mga maliliit na bagay na mas nakikita nyo yung maliliit na bagay sa buhay nyo. Stop and smell the roses, so to speak. Ayan. Good support system daw and offering social support. Ayan. Yun din, no, na parang, parang reminder din na um, if we give social support, we should also be comfortable of receiving that social support. Um, okay. Enjoying sunset by the window.
Bet ko rin yung
Ayan.
sinabi ni Hamilton dito sa chat box. Now, when he was younger, I always pick a fresh leaf, put it inside my pocket of my polo before taking our exams. It makes me feel more confident na masasagutan ko ang test namin and nakaka-refresh ng mind. So yeah, even something like that, no? Parang practice siya ng pagiging diwata that nature is in your pocket.
True. Tsaka yun nga, parang yun nga, sa kapalaran, relating ito kapalaran, you're taking, no, taking control again. Na parang, may control ako sa magiging exam ko kasi may help ako from nature. Parang ganun yung nangyayari. That's also a cute practice. Ikaw ba, Nikki, if I may ask, just also a closing short story from you, baka you'd like to share pagiging diwata experience?
Sobrang nakaka-relate ako sa mga nagsabi ng breathing na feeling ko I'm out of touch with myself and who I am pag hindi ko na napapansin yung breathing ko. So doing a breathing exercise makes me feel in touch with myself and with our common humanity. It helps me calm down talaga. How about yours, Rick?
Ito parang gusto ko tong bird watching, no? Minsan, I get lost sa umaga, like, kunwari, drinking my coffee, parang nagsa-stop naman sa akin yung oras when I look at birds outside. Tas kung naririnig mo lang siya, ayan talaga, being immersed with nature, ganyan. Since I live in Baguio, parang ang daming puno, may mga kawayan, ganyan. Madaming nakakatuwang bagay na pwede kang makita. At yung pagiging connected mo talaga, yung feeling, no, na pagiging connected sa nature, it brings you actually a different sense of relief, ganyan. So, ayan. maging considerate daw sa kapwa yan, going to the beach and exploring the beauty of nature. And yun din, no, parang as you can see, yung parang kahit simple closing of your eyes, oo, no, no, parang madami ka naiisip, no, on how you can fix your life, no, just being in the dark, seeing the darkness. Parang ano rin yun eh, parang diwata power siya kumbaga. Since you still have control of yun nga, darkness.
I love it.
So,
Ang daming magagandang tips. I hope everyone, you really get to do these.
So, ayan. So maraming salamat po sa mga nag-share ng kanilang gustong gawin, no, para makamit, no, or para ma-experience yung pagiging diwata. And I hope you learned things that you can pick up, no, or parang napatingin kayo sa sarili nyo, you've looked back on your experiences, on how you're actually experiencing, no, kaginhawaan.
Yes, thank you so much, Rick, for doing this very special webinar for us. If I can just share, na, di ba, I actually studied well-being sa Australia, and then yung general vibe na nakukuha ko from doing that is well-being is always something na kailangan nating habulin. We always have to aspire for. It's always beyond us. That's a general sense that I got from those studies. And doing this field trip with you today, parang na-realize ko na well-being is already within you. It's already within your reach. It's already there. Just pay attention to all of those sources of well-being to enhance that aspect in your life. So thank you so much. Very special talaga yung local perspective, yung kaginhawaan na nabibigay sa atin ni Rick today. It was something I couldn't have picked up from anywhere else in the world. So thank you so much, Rick. And as a reminder for everyone, we're putting the post-evaluation link in the chat box, and we're gonna spend some time again for the questions after this. But very, very important reminder, you have, this is a new thing we're doing. There's just 30 minutes. The form will close after 30 minutes. So if you wanna get that certificate, if you wanna share your feedback, please share it within 30 minutes after the webinar. So when it will close at 5 p.m. today. Make sure you accomplish it before 5 p.m. today. And now I want to award you, Rick. Our certificate of appreciation is issued to Ric Charles Jordan Cayat for generously providing his time and expertise as a resource speaker for the webinar, How Can Public Servants Manage Difficult People? Held on the 27th, we're gonna edit this, Rick, of April 2021. So this is signed by John and me. We're so grateful, Rick, for you sharing this perspective with us. And thank you everyone for being with us here today. Just some more quick things. Ayun, di ba, this month we really dedicated it to stress, especially stress management for public servants. We dedicated this month, this webinar series, to helping alleviate the stress of our public servants who provide us ginhawa and who take care of us. So thank you so much to all the public servants here. Thank you so much for the work that you did. Next month, please continue to follow us on Facebook. Our team members sharing our Facebook there. Because next month, we're actually going to be talking about the special people who we're thinking about, our moms. So we're thinking about how moms can manage being a leader while being a mom. How can a mom be more have more access to a workplace now that we're in a pandemic? And we're also having a developmental psychologist talk to us about what are some insights from that perspective, and what are some practices that moms can do to help manage this situation that we have now, you work from home and having to be a mom in the pandemic. So at this point, please, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat box. You can also message it to me or Rick privately if you want, and you can also raise your hand if you'd like to speak. So I think Miss Maria Buenafe, your hand is raised, so I'm going to ask to unmute you if you wanted to say something. And the others, you can also share sa chat box if you have any questions. Yes, so sa mga moms here, please share our Facebook page with your friends, no, because next month is really a month for moms. And it's not just for moms. I mean, if you are part of a family and you want to understand your moms better, you want to understand how you can support them better, that webinar is also for you. And so while we're waiting in the chat box for any questions, Rick, is there any any last things you want to say to our audience?
Ayan, siguro like, for example, like the travel, no, or parang the journey of really rejecting the individualist ideas can be a very long journey na hindi siya agaran, no, na since we've all had this bias, no, that the Western ideologies are very good, ganyan, they're better, ganyan. That's okay, no, parang you just have to be really comfortable, no, with not being comfortable, and that's actually how you also grow as a Filipino, na parang ang trend talaga ngayon is community healing more than individual healing. So sana yun yung matanggal natin sa mga isip natin, no, na parang dapat ang problema ng isa ay problema ng lahat. So yun lang naman. Tapos yun nga, huwag din natin kakalimutan, no, yung yung sarili natin, na hindi dapat tayo masyado maging involved, ganyan, at hindi tayo maging scrambled eggs.
Yes, I really love that insight. No, balance na hindi too involved but also not detached from our kapwa or yung mga tao na nakapalibot sa atin. So that's a really, really wonderful insight. Sana ang makita ang message na for me naman ay mas tumatatak sa akin ngayon na well-being is actually a shared responsibility. Ang kaginhawaan ay shared responsibility. So hindi lang ito para sa iyo, pero para din ito sa kapwa mo. So sana alagaan yung mga sarili nyo after this webinar and also take care of others. If you want to reach out to some people, take care of people, donate to a community pantry, buy from farmers, all of the things that you've suggested here, connect more to nature. Please do so after this webinar. There are no questions right now, but thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, Nikki. There's one question actually.
Yes, please, Rick. Please answer it.
Is kaginhawaan the exact context of Filipino well-being, or it can be related to life satisfaction? Okay, this is a very good question, no? Na parang there's always an issue of translating the Filipino experience to a Western equivalent. So parang to answer this one, hindi talaga siya eksakto. Parang there's always gonna be a difference. Kaya kailangan talaga nating alamin, no, yung experience talaga ng kapwa Pilipino natin pagdating no sa kaginhawaan. So to be more precise, hindi siya equivalent. For some, no, kaginhawaan can be life satisfaction, but in general hindi talaga siya yun yung experience, no. Talagang yung kaginhawaan daw para sa mga Pilipino is yun nga, having that ability to be able to breathe comfortably. Parang yun yung pinakaakma niyang definition in the English context. Pero yun nga, yun nga, yung present natin na different experience, it's a wide array of experiences, kumbaga. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, ang galing na insight. Thank you for that. Right? And yung certificates, please don't forget to answer yung evaluation. So yung certificates is really only for those who attended the webinar. So if you really want to make sure that you're part of the Zoom room, you have to log in early. And there were points na hindi natin na max. So there was always an opportunity to log in. So hopefully, especially in the next months, you can log in earlier if you want to have your certificates. So the certificates are issued to the participants. You have to be part of the Zoom to be able to be here. Pero ayun, thank you so much, Rick, again. Any more questions on your side? None. Also none here. So thank you so much, everyone. We're looking forward to seeing you again in our next webinar series in May. Take care.